Looks like we're live. So forgive me for this, but I'm recording this while I'm streaming at the same time, so I need to do a clap for sync. So if you've got headphones on, maybe take them off for a sec. So here's a quick clap so I can sync the video and the sound. Hello, and welcome to a flip-through of Warzone. So Mutant Chronicles Warzone. So we're going to take a look at the first edition, the second edition box set, and I guess technically the third edition Excelsior Ultimate Edition. So this should be fun, and this is kind of in preparation for Part 6 of our lore series comes out this Friday. So looking forward to that. That's a big one. Hey, how's it going, Joe? Good to see you. Oh, got an echo. Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Let me see what I did wrong. Oh, yeah, maybe I'm coming through on the cam as well. Thank you. Yes, I am. Okay, how's that? Now that's just one microphone instead of two. All right, so we'll try this again because I am recording this. So sorry for the deja vu, but hello and welcome to a flip through of the Mutant Chronicles Warzone. So we're going to take a look at the first, second, and third Ultimate Edition. So the second edition was a box set, and the third is a collection by Excelsior in a big Ultimate guide. So that's a lot of pages, and I think it's just a collection of everything that's been published so far, but we will see as we make our way through. So this is in preparation for part 6 of our lore series that comes out this Friday. So part 6 is the rise of Cybertronic, and it's a big one, 22 minutes. So that's why it took so long to get produced, but it's good. It's got lots of good stuff in it. So yeah, sorry about the echo there, and so there'll be a lot more stuff. Yeah, I got 2 microphones going on at the same time. So yeah, so join us this Friday for that premiere on YouTube, and so now we'll take a look through if I can keep the glare off the book. It's a really glossy cover. So this is first edition Warzone, a Fast and Furious Miniatures Battle Game. So we took a look at first edition, the Mutant Chronicles RPG. So I think that was 1993. And by this time, Doom Trooper, the collectible card game, was already kind of well underway. And so if we take a look on the back, this is 95. So in nomine Cardinalis. So here's the flavor text for Warzone. The solar system is a roaring mayhem of death and war. The surfaces of the inner planets have been swept clean by the violent onslaught of the Dark Legion's storming hordes of Nephirites, Necromutants, Razides, Praetorian Stalkers, and Undead Legionnaires. So they're naming all the units for you. All right, the human corporations have offered fierce resistance, but divided they fall. So in Warzone, you have the opportunity to scramble your own squad of trusted elites, of Imperial Blood Berets, Bauhaus Venetian Rangers, Capital Free Marines, Brotherhood Sacred Warriors, and others, and battle in the name of the Cardinal to stop the tidal wave of blood created by the never-ending assaults of the 5 Dark Apostles. Warzone, the Fast and Furious Miniatures Battle Game, takes place in the smashing violent world of Mutant Chronicles. Like smashingly violent. Pitting against each other the 5 megacorporations, the Cartel, the Brotherhood, or the menacing Dark Legion. So yeah, all factions are in here from first edition. Warzone takes place in the most action-filled and spectacular setting you've ever seen. So this book contains all the information you need to engage in vicious conflict with your Warzone miniatures. So army lists of all 5 corporations, Brotherhood and Dark Legion, creature descriptions with stats, a deep and fascinating description of the Mutant Chronicles universe, quick, easy-to-grasp, action-filled rules for all types of techno-fantasy warfare. So this, in scale, because you can see it's not a huge volume, this in scale starts up pretty small. Like they're talking about basically a more skirmish level. So it doesn't quite ramp up to the level of, say, 40K or anything. Got to from the very beginning. They started slow, and I heard the one of the designers from the new edition that's in the works, working with Res Nova, said that they're going to do the same thing with their edition. They're going to start small and kind of skirmish level and build up. And I think that's what Protoss did as well with their Warzone Resurrection, is they didn't go crazy with units immediately, and they tried to kind of fill in all the essential elites. And yeah, so let's take a look. So the first thing that I was really impressed with is how much color there is in this book. If you remember, the first edition RPG book just had maybe like 10 pages at the beginning. There was a color section, and everything else was black and white because it's a lot more text. But this, because it's got a lot of photos of miniatures and everything, is incredibly colorful. So that's a nice thing to see just 2 years later. Nice. Hey Nathaniel, how's it going? All right, so a Fast and Furious Miniatures Battle Game by Bill King. So Bill King is in the credits, and of course Paul Bonner is credited with the cover art, as well as all of the usual suspects, Paolo and Alex Horley. For the interiors, Tony Bagg and Michael Stenmark. So let's take a look. Yeah, and they also credit, so Heartbreaker and Gamecraft are also credited. So 1995 Target Games with Heartbreaker Miniatures. Here's their quick table of contents. So they go through the setting. So the introduction is all War Without End, the mega corporations, the Brotherhood, Dark Legion, Cartel, and then Warzone. So they talk about kind of where everything takes place. And it's too bad. I noticed when I was originally looking up sources for videos and things on Warzone, they've already done like a Call of Duty or something that's called Warzone now. So Google is overtaken by video game searches for Warzone. So that's going to be a challenge for, I think, Res Nova. Their naming is going to be really important for the to kind of be marketable, very easy to search. I think Resurrection worked okay, but they're going to have to be careful about their naming scheme so that it doesn't match any other property too similar, and not be too generic, so that it's impossible to kind of build a good brand. So history, I guess the history starts on 6, and then they go through corporations, then all of their rules, the profiles, equipment, dice, everything, and then we get into force lists by page 61. Yeah, so they break down everything. Oh, that's nice. So they do force lists, and they do armory and Hall of Fame. So probably like named characters for each of the corporations and factions. And then the Brotherhood has their art. They have the art, so they break that down into the different directorates, the different schools, I guess, of the art. All right. And then the Dark Legion gets its own section, so it's force list, armory, and then they break it down into the dark. So each of the Dark Apostles has their own army list as well. So Algaroth, Ilion, Muavije, Semi, and Demnogonus each have their own lists. Yeah, because they all got their own miniatures. That's right. All the Nephirites of each Dark Apostle have their own look. And then the Dark Symmetry, so similar to the art, the gifts of the Dark Apostles, optional rules, force list, and fiction stories. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's really cool. I didn't notice that. Yeah. So there's even more, more flavor going on. So there's kind of like little pieces of fiction that cut throughout the. I like that. I like when they kind of help you with the setting and a little bit of flavor by giving you like a scene or just a little. A lot of RPGs have been doing that recently. So War Without End. I think this is what we read from the back. Yeah, it looks pretty similar. So their introduction is: the solar system is a battlefield. From Mars' red deserts to the steaming jungles of Venus, conflict rages. From the huge caverns of the Mercurian underworlds to the cold hells of the asteroid belt, battle lines are drawn. The 5 great megacorporations make war on each other. The fanatic soldiers of the Brotherhood clash with the undead warriors of the Dark Legion, who in the names of their demonic masters seek to conquer all who live. There is no peace. There is only small gaps between wars, when the combatants seek to rebuild their strength before another cataclysmic clash with their eternal enemies. Nice. So here is all the flavor. Cool. Yeah, so go through the mega corporations, the Brotherhood, the Dark Legions. This is just an overview. Also the Warzone. So let's see what they, because that's the kind of name of the system. So let's see. On all uninhabited worlds of the solar system, there are war zones, huge areas of conflict where the mega corporations and the Dark Legion clash. On Mercury, 5 worlds of the ancient and honorable Mishima, hundreds of small guerrilla wars are fought between the representatives of the megacorporations as they seek to control the huge underworld caverns and the incredible mineral wealth they contain. I see. So yeah, they break down. So Mercury, Venus, and the asteroid belts. Nice. So on no world is there peace, nor is there any prospect of it. This is an age of war in which humanity fights for survival. Only the cunning and mighty can hope to triumph. This is an age in which sharp reflexes and good weapons make the difference between life and death. This is the world of Warzone. Nice. More classic art. All right, and here's the whole kind of timeline. Oh, that's right. Yeah, they do a nice kind of synopsis. So when I was doing the research and kind of writing for the lore series, I was putting together kind of all of these sources. And of course, the earlier sources don't have things as fleshed out, but the flavor of the text is really good. So especially the first edition for the role-playing game, I really like the tone and kind of flavor of all the text. And they do the same thing with Warzone. They set up everything, yeah, really well. Yeah, here's one of the rare pictures of the Cardinal, of Nathaniel. There's not, yeah, it's interesting that it's hard to find good art sources for a lot of the, like Algaroth, there's not good. I mean, they did some newer things for 4th edition, for the, the 3rd edition for the Modifius, commissioned some art. But there's a lot of stuff that's really rare to find, yeah, for the Second Corporate Wars. Citadel. Oh, so here, yeah. So here's an example of one of the pieces of fiction that's throughout to kind of give you flavor of everything. And then a run through of the corporations. Nice. So the world of the Mutant Chronicles is largely controlled by the boards of the megacorporations, instead of, as in times past, the governments of nations. In fact, a person employed by the Capital Corporation, for example, is automatically termed a citizen of Capital. Yeah, a lot of the terminology, I kept kind of bouncing between citizen, employee. Because you're talking about corporations, it was hard to, hard to find good terminology. Nice. So they're going to run through all of the corporations. Yeah, and talk about that. That's cool. So they, very kind of brief thing. They talk about the structure. And so Capital, of course, has the president, and then they talk about the basis for the armed forces. So each of them has a different flavor because, of course, Capital is the Americas. So they're going to be structured that same way, whereas Bauhaus has the Duke Electors. So, much more old-style European governance. And each of them has, specializes a little differently. So air cavalry for Bauhaus and special forces and the ground forces. And, of course, the Air Force for Capital. That's great. So they run through everything. And, where the corporations are based, of course, Capital on Mars, Bauhaus on Venus. Yeah, setting up the war zones. Nice. And kind of where they are with the Dark Legion. Mishima has the Lord Heirs, based on, of course, Mercury, and then they run through, the Samurai, the Combat Corsairs, the Shadow Walker cult. Yeah, so hopefully after we finish the first Chronicle for the lore series, we'll go through and kind of do focuses on each of the mega corporations, because there's a lot of interesting information about kind of how they're structured and how that reflects kind of the origin of it, be it Japan or Germany or the Americas. The flavor of each of the corporations is really well kind of spelled out, and that, of course, influences the types of forces they have and why they had all the problems that they did. And Imperial. The Great Resentment. Yeah, the sad struggle. That's nice. Yeah, they give a lot of detail, and then of course go through the military forces. So it's good. You get kind of an overview, because if you don't have the RPG, haven't played the RPG, and you don't haven't at least seen like what the units and things are from the Doom Trooper card game, then you get a good overview of everything, how everything's named. Oh, there's a good the 19th executive image for Cybertronic. Nice. Yeah, so that's the part 6 is Cybertronic. So if you don't know much about that mega corporation, we go through pretty thoroughly, and kind of not so much detail about the structure, but put it in context of like the origin of Cybertronic, because it's pretty sinister, and it's got a nice a nice kind of ominous appearance. And then the cartel. Right. Yeah, so the Doom Troopers, of course, are part of the cartel and kind of contributed by all of the mega corporations. And then the Brotherhood. Yeah, I'm curious. I'm not familiar with how the art works on the battlefield. I'm curious. We'll take a look at those rules and see how that actually works, because it's going to be only one faction. So basically, the Dark Legion and the Brotherhood are the only one that kind of have casting. Everyone else is shooting, basically, shooting and assault. Nice. Yeah, I can't believe this book is all color. They can put a lot of art in here. So it's really great. I wonder if that affected the price. Sorry, let me take a quick look. Yeah, there's no price on here, but that must have made this a bit more expensive. But I guess to show off the miniatures, you really have to. They have to have as much color as possible, so they can show off the illustrations for the settings, and then they can, really go into the nice painted miniatures to kind of sell the whole look of the game. Oh, so here we already jumped into the Dark Legion. Yeah, so that was the end of the Brotherhood. And then the Dark Legion, so through all of the origins, yeah. So, yeah, pretty similar to just kind of a abbreviated version of what they do in the setting for the RPG. All right, and here we go. Here's the first rule section. So two-player game set in Mutant Chronicles. So to play it, you'll need this rulebook, Heartbreaker miniatures, and 20-sided die. So, let's see. So we've included a sheet of hidden and waiting counters at the back of the book. All right. That's nice. Yeah, they did that in the box set too, so they gave you some counters. So here's hidden and waiting, and plus your templates for shotgun, flamethrower, explosion, and grenade template. And looks like an army sheet in the back too. Yeah, that's great. Okay. So before you start, you'll need to acquire and paint your miniatures. Nice. Yeah, I wonder when this book was actually released in '93, like what was actually available, what was on the shelves as far as, blister packs of the miniatures. So, yeah. Okay, so each player should have a force that appeals to him or her, then assemble at least one squad. You also need to skim the rules at least once. They're not nearly as daunting as they may seem. All you need to do at this stage is familiarize yourself with the rules, or where they are and where you can find them, so you can keep looking them up. As you play your first battle, you should follow along with the rules, referring to the appropriate sections. All right. So here they've got the stat lines and explain, they've got close combat, missile weapons, power, leadership, actions, wounds, strength, movement, armor. Yeah, really similar to, this is just like Warhammer First Edition. The stat line is real similar. I mean, things are called, a little bit differently. But, really similar, because they have, of course, you have your standard troop, and then you have your sergeant on here. So, very similar in how they're structuring things. And I wonder, because that came from fantasy, right? Because the Fantasy Battles was first, and then 40K came second. So I'm curious if this was, if they looked at that and said, because I think these were kind of simultaneously being developed. So yeah, I'm curious. The stat lines are very similar. So most models possess some sort of equipment that fall into two categories: weapons or special equipment. And then the weapons have close range, long range, range modifiers, damage, and point costs. Nice. Yeah, so yeah, it seems to be. Oh, but that's a big difference though, is right away, they're putting points. I can't remember. No, I guess it's a more recent thing where points are separate. They're not part of a stat line. That's I don't know what edition that started with 40K, but that's annoying that you're not referring to points, and especially because they did power levels and things. But it's nice to have that as just part of the unit stats. So range modifiers. Okay, so here's how they do the units. So units are the basic military group. There are two different kinds: squads and individual models. So squad is a group of squads or a group of soldiers trying to work together, like the 5 Blood Beret commanded by a Blood Beret sergeant. So they act together. Do they have coherence? Let's see. Squads are in size between 2 to 12. Regardless of size, all squads are subject to the squad rules. So each one has a leader. And the leader, while the leader is alive, they fight with their maximum efficiency. The squad leader is killed, they become disorganized and less effective. Oh, here we go. Combat distance. There we go. Yeah, so coherence is just 6 inches. 6 inches within. Sorry, look at this on the camera. 6 inches between the squad and the leader. So yeah. So there's our Sergeant Carter, and then everybody has to be within that 6 inches. So Private Oaks has blown it. Yeah, so they call it command distance instead of coherence. And morale, and then individuals. So we got squads and then individuals. So not all models need to be part of a squad. Certain heroic individuals and mighty monsters are capable of acting on their own. So if individual models are within 6 inches of a squad, they can give the squad the benefit of their leadership in panic tests. Well, that's cool. So you can move them in range to kind of affect morale. That's pretty cool. Only individuals may use give order actions, and only individuals may use rally actions. All right. So D20, natural 1 is called a perfect success. So you're rolling under, and a 20 is a fumble. And they've got facing as well. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, so there you can see on that base, there's a facing marker. Choose your force, arrange the battlefield. So what are they saying as far as how big things should be? Yeah, what they're showing is 12 inches, 6 inches. Yeah, so it looks like 4 by 6. I mean, they're not giving you that stat, but yeah, it looks like a fairly standard. Although, yeah, with this, the scale of this, it doesn't need to be actually that big. So deploy. So you just roll off for deploy, and yeah, deployment is just within 12 inches of the edge of, so no, they don't specify a size, and it's probably good, because if you're doing squad level skirmish stuff, you don't want to spend the whole time marching up the field. Yeah, so initiative. Yeah, so they're just saying, 12 inches from the edge is deployment. Yeah, then there's nothing about terrain or anything yet. And just your forces should be equal in point cost. And they're not talking about what an average army is. And maybe because, they didn't have things out yet. So we'll see. So initiative, nominating your first unit, and then activating. Oh, so there's, panic rolls if they're activated while they're panicked. Okay, so You nominate any squad or model on the board. It's called activating that individual unit. If you nominate one of the opponent's squad, your foe controls, they must move. Okay, so if the activated unit is unpanicked, the controlling player activates a single model in that unit. This figure then takes as many actions as listed in its AC characteristic. Oh, I didn't see that. Sorry. It's going to be a flip through and then flip back again. Oh yeah, so there's actions. Oh, interesting. So instead of number of attacks, you have a number of actions for each unit. So they can move, they can do up to 3 actions. So they can't do anything. Oh, and you can't go out of command range. So yeah, you can't move. Well, that's interesting, yeah. So it limits your movement to 6 inches away from the leader of each unit. So yeah, so let's see. I'm just trying to see if it's alternating, kind of what they're talking about here. So once the figure has used up all its actions, the player activates another figure in that unit. Oh, so wow, you do, well that, those will make long terms. So yeah, so 3 actions for each of the figures in the unit. Yeah, and I guess, yeah, you're starting on a smaller scale. So I guess that's why this never got to this rule set never got to a huge scale, because that is a lot of individual movement. You're not moving everything together. Everything gets 3 actions. All right. Wow. So each figure must complete all of its actions before another can move, and this goes on until all the figures in the unit have been activated. Once that's done, the unit's turn is over, and the opposing player activates a unit. So it's it's alternating activations, but you can move all of the or do actions for all of the individual models in the unit. Interesting. Winning the battle, yeah. So victory points. So you first agree upon a number of terms to calculate your victory points based on the point cost of your units. A squad or individual model is worth 1 victory point per 50 points, or part thereof. So based on the value. 1 victory point per 50 points of cost. And then there are different scenarios. Oh, so they just run through, some basic scenarios. So as you can see, so in certain special types of battles called scenarios, you may have agreed upon victory conditions. These conditions may be very simple at first. Seize a bridge. Or complex, the first person to seize the bridge. The farmhouse, destroy half of the opponent's forces. So against the clock, a limited number of turns before darkness falls. Sudden death, total up the number of victory points your army is worth and divide that number by 2 and add 1. So that is the sudden death victory score. Yeah, so you're basically scoring victory points per kill. Seize the objective. It's not really a unique scenario, but a twist on the other 2 types. So terrain is placed before deployment areas are chosen, the armies are deployed, and both players can nominate a piece of terrain as their objective. All right, so here's our actions. So move. Oh, flying, yeah. Flying models and flying movement. Move, fire, and talk about line of sight. Oh, let's see what they say as far as, so the table edge, if they go off the table edge, they are gone and may not re-enter. And then different terrain movements. All right, so 1 action to move up to its movement in inches. And during, of course, its movement action, it can turn as many times as it wants and then end its move facing in any direction. Yeah, so it's all round bases. But you have to have a facing, so you have to have a front facing. I guess that's for firing arcs too. So if you're using the templates. Nice. The movements of firing, line of sight. A figure can fire upon an enemy it can see, providing the enemy is within range. And the ability to see your target is line of sight. So obviously certain things can interfere. So terrain, hills or large buildings, you won't be able to shoot at it. Yeah, it's good when they give you kind of pretty exact ways, like to see both edges of the base, or at least one, like half of the model or something. And this is, very early days of miniature wargaming. So, here we go. So, you can only shoot at models in a wood that are within 3 inches of the edge of the woods. Ah, interesting. Oh, here's the cover. So the cover rules: if a wall or hedge blocks line of sight, only if they are taller than the target model. Otherwise, they provide cover. Okay, so if you've got something taller than the actual model, so both your own model and the foe's model block line of sight unless they are hidden. They cannot simply fire through people. Hidden enemies must be spotted. Ah, that's what these guys are for, yeah. That's what the hidden tokens are for. That's good. Rolling to hit. So if you have line of sight, you simply need to roll equal to or under your missile weapons score. And cover rules. Types of weaponry and modifiers. Special equipment. Nice. Aiming, bracing. So yeah, you can do as an action, you can aim, and you add 4 to your shooting, your missile. But you cannot aim more than twice. So +8 is maximum. That's pretty huge though. On a D20. And then bracing. Heavy weapons such as machine guns and rockets have enormous recoil. Before firing them, you need to brace. Also, that's a way also to take away the mobility of heavy weaponry, is they need to spend one of those actions to brace and then shoot. So you can aim, brace, shoot. Yeah. You cannot aim when using burst fire. All right, close combat. So you're just rolling under your close combat skill. And doing damage. So once it's hit, you make an armor roll, subtract the attacker's weapon damage rating from the figure's armor. That gives you a score you need to roll equal to or under. If you succeed, your figure takes no damage. If you fail, okay, the figure takes any wounds from the attacker's weapon. Target's wound score falls to 0. It is dead, and the model is removed. So I guess you're also specifically, you're not firing at units, just firing this guy shoots that guy. Very specifically, so it's individual models, targeting individual models. So I guess that's why you can, they talk about losing the leader, so you can, snipe leaders out of units. Strength. So in close combat, very strong characters have a greater chance of inflicting damage. To simulate this, a model's strength rating is added to its weapon damage when using melee. Breaking away. If figures are in base-to-base contact, you're in close combat range. 2 figures are now wrestling it out. So if you want to break away, you've got to roll a d20 against and add the strength score. All right, so to break away, your model must gets to roll a d20, add the strength, and you must beat the highest score. Cover rules, hidden sneak attacks, charging. Oh, cool, yeah. So charging, and then that adds 4. Just like aiming adds 4 to your shot, charging adds 4 to your melee. Multiple attackers. Yeah, so pretty straightforward. Nothing too crazy so far as far as difficult rules. Rally, wait, and then here's panic, rout, and rallying. So all of the panic rolls. Nice. And lastly, no set of rules can cover every contingency. So if you need to reach an agreement, just roll d20s. All right. So points costs. Oh, here we go. A force costs 400 points is roughly twice as potent as one that costs 200. So they tried to make it roughly equivalent, so you know. So they would suggest up to 500 points each for a short battle and 1,000 for a longer battle. So we'll take a look at what the costs are like. Yeah, so they do give some Force sizes, special weapons. And then their list building. So their example, blood berets cost 22 each. Sergeant costs 30, so that's 118 for a squad of 4 plus the sergeant. Yeah, so if they're saying 1,000, yeah, that's not... yeah, you'll get there pretty quick. The Megacorps. Oh, I haven't seen that. Nice. There's the cover for the first edition RPG wraparound. All right, so here we go again through the. Oh, there we go. But then we've got weapons. Oh, so here's stats. Yeah, here's wow. Everything is just right there. Wow. So infantry trooper, captain, heavy infantry, and special forces. So that's the list of everything right there for all capital units, and then the weapons with their stats. Wow. Yeah, so that's all the basic forces, and then here's some of our special forces. Yeah, the Free Marines and the Sea Lions, Sunset Strikers. Oh, here we go. The miniatures, yeah. So this is why they printed this book in color. Look at that. Great. So we've got General Michael Kell and Captain Philip Morano as our name characters. And here's our Special Forces troopers, infantry, another Special Forces sergeant. Yeah, look at those Heartbreaker miniatures. Captain Jim Charles, the only capital officer to survive the assault on Morgoth's citadel. Nice, and I love the original old style capital logo there. Nice, yeah, very classic with the baseball and football caps. Yeah, so many of the basic infantry on capital are just basically wearing like 70s style football helmets. Nice. The sports obsessed Americans. Yeah, look at that. For just your basic forces. Look at how short that list is. That's great though. It's all right there, so you can see the costs and everything right away. And then they add the Rangers and more special forces. Oh no, the Rangers are in there too. Nice. There's the armory. And here's our Bauhaus miniatures. General Konstanz Romanov, Captain Friedrich Wachtmeister, Captain Wilhelm Steiner, and Sergeant Jean-Philippe Augustin. Yeah, look at that. It looks like they're going, yeah, it's all non-metallic metals, is it? I can't tell. That might be, but their armor is all blue. And here's our special units and name characters. Oh yeah, no, yeah, just the elites. All right, so yeah, they use their training and stealth and things. There's that little, yeah. So they did start out very light. I mean, so basically they only have to have miniatures for what they're showing in here, so it's not a lot at all. Yeah. Oh, Mishima has a special rule, the Banzai Charge. Oh no. When activated, any samurai squad or individual may declare Banzai Charge against the enemy unit. This warrior will make a determined effort to destroy their foe or die in the attempt. Oh man, that's historically accurate and disturbing. Nice. Weapon stats. Oh, no miniatures. No photos of the Mishima. Oh, so maybe they weren't done by the time they were doing the book. And Imperial, look at their short list there. Oh, seems like they've got a few more vehicles than the other corpse. Oh, wow. Yeah, no. Maybe there's more in the back. Oh, here we go. There's Imperial Miniatures. Yeah, so no Mishima. Maybe they're having trouble with all the no Mishima miniatures photos. Interesting. So they were moving slower on them. We'll see if they do Cybertronic. I'm curious. Chieftain Dungo, Sergeant Mike Morgan, and Field Marshal Sebastian Johnston. Yeah, all right. They've already got the the air cavalry with their little jump pack there. All right, so here's Cybertronic. Yeah, just a few. Just the Chasseur, Corsair, and then the Eradicator Death Droid. Ooh, hope they've got a picture of that. No, they don't. Oh, Attila. Nice. Yeah, that was another thing. Is I didn't have a lot of photos. Yeah, here's our name character. So Charles Sykes, Reaver, Max Torino, Attila III. So that's it. Right there is the only miniature they had finished in time for Cybertronic. Interesting. So, and Cartel is just Doom Troopers or Cartel agents. And yeah, no miniatures yet. So they must have been Heartbreaker was must have been working hard to get all the forces. So for the first edition, for at least the printing of the rulebook, they didn't have all of their forces. Let's take a look. Yeah, so here's all the Brotherhood, and we've got a few. We've got Mortificators, and yeah, I guess it's both. Oh, and Fury Elites. Yeah, we've got a lot. They've got all the art, but that's from the RPG. So wow, and then here's just Cardinal Dominic. Yeah, so minimal. So some of the forces, yeah, they started much earlier. Well, there's a lot more special equipment and everything. Oh, that's great. For, yeah, all the, I guess so the general armory, maybe a shared armory. And here's the Dark Legion. So let's see what they've got. And so here's our stats. So Undead Legionnaires, Necromutants, Centurions, Immaculate Fury, Razide, Azagul, Praetorian Stalkers, Dark Huntsman, and Nephirite. So they've got all the art, but yeah, no miniatures yet. Oh god, I love this Paul Bonner art is so good, especially for the Dark Legion. Yeah, good stuff. His covers. Oh, here we go. So they do have some Dark Legion miniatures. Yeah, that's basically everything that's kind of around a plus. So this is all the Algaroth. So let's see. Oh yeah, and then they break it down by all the rest. So there's Ilion, Movij, but maybe no more. Maybe only the Algaroth miniatures. Yeah. They've got some nice art, but no more miniatures. Demalganus. And then Dark Symmetry rules. Yeah, so only the Algaroth miniatures. Yeah, so they started out really light with... oh, nice. Yeah, I love that. Love that image. Nice. So yeah, let's take just a quick look at the what they say for the rules. So the dark gifts. So the limit on the possession of dark gifts. So no individual model may possess more than 10 dark gifts. Damn. All right. So if a figure has potential to possess dark gifts, this will be mentioned in the force list. So the level of the gift is how many points it costs to purchase it. So just like equipment, you're equipping the abilities. Resisting dark gifts. Dark Symmetry. So Lance of Pain, Dark Aura, Telepathic Command, Malfunction, Disrupt Power, Hand of Death, True Gate, Control Mind, Wind of Insanity. Wow. Let's see, did they do in the art section? So I didn't mean to skip through that. Oh yeah, they did. So here's the arts. So Striking, Shield, Domination, Explosion, Telepathy, Panic, Pain, Command. Ooh, turn Undead Legionnaire. Panic. So Exercise Wound, Exercise Fear, Proficiency, speed, invulnerability, strength, flight. Nice. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot on both sides. Controlling mind, mind melts for dark gifts. Possess, shroud, dimension warp, distort, flow of acid. Invoke frenzy, imprison, dead, decay, infection. Oh yeah, do they have... So imprison dead. If used directly after a user has killed a foe in combat, this gift allows the user to animate the corpse. Instead of the killed model being removed, it is added to the user's retinue. That's great. So you can turn forces. That's great. Multiplayer. So it's possible to play with more than 2. But don't play with 3, because that always ends up 2 against 1. I've learned my lesson from 3-player games. And then all the heroic and special abilities. Campaigns. Oh, and then experience. So they got a little system for experience. Converting your character from the RPG to Warzone. Oh, that's really cool. So here's some details. So if your character's close combat is equal to your character's... Oh, okay, so they're just showing what the equivalent for the stat lines for Warzone are. So you can literally take your named character, if you've created like a Blood Beret Sergeant or something in the RPG, you can actually bring them over and play them. That's really cool. Wow. So Warzone is ideal for those big fights you've always wanted to run. Now's your chance to send your players into pitched battles in the Venusian jungles alongside a squad of Blood Beret. Better yet, it will take a lot less time using Warzone. So they're saying the combat in the RPG may be slow. If you're using Warzone in conjunction with the RPG, you should follow one simple rule. Never kill off player characters reduced to 0 wounds in Warzone. If this happens, assume the character is simply knocked out. Wow, so they're already thinking about moving between, because the RPG, of course, took precedence, so moving between the role-playing game and Warzone. That's great. That's a very cool detail. Oh, sorry. There's our... Yeah, they're not... It's just a color cardstock sheet. Wow, a full color rulebook. So that is the first edition. So I hope everybody didn't fall asleep through that. I just wanted to show all the rules and kind of everything. If you don't have access to this, I mean, there's PDFs floating around if you want to take a closer look at the rules. But this is really fun to take a look at exactly what the first rule set was and kind of, how it was influenced, or, what it was influenced by and the kind of context at that time. And I like the idea that they're trying to move the characters between the RPG and the miniatures game. I think that's, something a lot of people thought about, but maybe not executed completely well. All right, so this was the first edition, and what happened next? Whoa! Is this? Boom! All right. Yeah. I like that too. Yeah, I like how so much there's good continuity between the artwork. So this is basically the second edition, and this would be a boxed starter set that the second edition came with. And so by this time, they've got the models. So as you'll see in the Forces book, they've got models for everything. Now they everything is painted and photographed. Okay, so sorry. Let's take a look at the back. So the second edition, so instead of the kind of single volume of the rulebook, they broke things up into 3 slim volumes, which is nice because the binding doesn't break. So these are all still very well intact. And let's take a look. What are we talking about? This is 98. So yeah, just 2 years later. Wow, they followed up, right? Because we're talking 96. Or 95, yeah. So 3 years later, they followed up with this edition. And so Heartbreaker was doing white metal models, and this is a whole box of plastic. So you've got Bauhaus versus Imperial in plastic. So that's very different. And so they're giving you the miniatures, 3 rule books, and they break it up between the history, which is the Chronicles of War, the Rules of War, and then the Forces. So 3 different books. So I guess, that makes it a little bit easier if you have to flip through rules. You're not going through such a big book. And then some sheets of counters. And then here are, so you're getting, mostly like a single, like the basic infantry, the basic militia, and then a few of the, either the heavy machine gun or the sergeant models. But this is it. Warzone, the 2nd edition, is the most comprehensive tabletop battle system available. Really, in 98? Yeah. Well, in the box. I mean, yeah, everything in this box. The game is designed for 2 or more players, 12 to adults. So this box set contains everything you need to play. So 80 multi-posed miniatures. Oh, that'll be cool to see. We'll take a look at, after we look at the rulebook, we'll open this big thing up. 48-page background book, 64-page rule book, 96-page army lists, 3 double-sided card sheets with templates and tokens and stuff, and 2 whole 20-sided dice. So, yeah, except for rulers, you basically have everything. Or maybe there is something for measuring on. Yeah, maybe that's a ruler on the card sheets. So that's everything. Here's all of our mega corporations, the Brotherhood and Dark Legions. So hopefully that means, is that Cartel? No, yeah, that's Cartel. I haven't seen that icon. I don't recognize that icon. All right. So yeah, the full 2nd edition. The miniatures in this box are produced from high-quality durable plastic that is stronger than the plastic normally used in model kits. Assembling this plastic requires the use of superglue. Wow. All right. So enter the universe, the Warzone universe, where horrific demons seek to devour the very soul of mankind. Enter the world of terrifying nightmares and awe-inspiring battles, where you hold the fate of millions in your hands. You need all your courage and all your skill to survive the world that is shaped by war and the bravery of those who refuse to surrender. But mostly it's just Germany versus England. Nice. Yeah, that's too bad. I guess, yeah, I wonder what the thinking was, why they didn't do a Corp versus Dark Legion or like Brotherhood versus Dark Legion for the basic box. But maybe the soldiers, well, let's flip this back over. Soldiers are a little bit more tempting. So yeah, around the edge is just those character boxes. So yeah, pretty decent sized box. And let's take a look at the books first, and then we'll crack open. So here are the volumes that are inside, and like they said, they're pretty thin. They're pretty thin volumes, but a lot easier to handle. So the rule book, and unlike the 1st edition, there's just color. Oh, only color cover. Wow, so black and white on the inside. So the rules, these don't seem to be in scale, are they? Yeah, maybe they are. They seem a lot smaller scale-wise, though. So here are the Warzone rules. But look at this. We've got vehicles already. Like, oh, that's too bad, though. They didn't do color, because now they've got a lot more models to show off. Yeah, but they're still doing facing, line of sight, morale tests. So maybe with some tweaks, and of course a lot more. Probably the 2nd edition just brings a lot more units in there. Yes, Call of Duty Warzone. That's the unfortunate thing. Warzone. So, yeah, it's going to need a more identifiable name. If there's a newer version of it, it's going to have to be something a lot more stronger brand, because, yeah, Warzone, Call of Duty already has Warzone. Wow. Oh, so here's deployment. And they're not talking about, 4x6. Yeah. So I think already, probably by 98, yeah, like, 40K and Fantasy had already kind of established that a 4x6 is your standard. And this is a larger scale. As you can see, they're already trying to show you a lot more units, and bigger units too. There's a lot more vehicles now. So, so deployment, turn sequence, and then there's scenarios. The same types of scenarios. Prime target, stand and fight, to the victor of the spoils. Yeah, so a little bit different. The battle system. And here's more mention about terrain. There wasn't so much before, just kind of when they're talking about line of sight. And then your army, individuals, specialists. Yeah, there's a coherent group. The squad leader. Yeah, I don't see the reference to the distance, but still, yeah. Firing arcs on line of sight. Yeah, so we're still having facings. And then, yeah, there's command distance, they're calling it now. Yeah. Alright, so morale, panic. Whoa. So hopefully in the forces book we've got some color. Yeah, actions. So, yeah, still have the same. So it's still the same. You're alternating squads and activating individual models. Yeah, there's a lot more as far as, oh, dice, dive for cover. Jumping and falling, oh, they've got elevation now. Yeah, climbing rules and distances. So, yeah, here's jumping and the damage from falling certain inches of height. So, yeah, so putting three-dimensionality in the battlefield. Nice. Hey, zombie. How's it going? Going through some, yeah, the Warzone rulebooks. So we're up to 2nd edition. So this is the three rulebooks in the box set. So they stick to the same stats. So close combat, point blank, weapons performance, distance, short distance, medium, long. Oh, these aren't the stats. These are just, yeah, weapon profiles. Right, and they've got, yeah, diagram examples. A lot of black and white models, model photography. But it's nice they've done trenches and sandbags and a lot more detailed terrain. And there we go, and there's a lot more better examples of what cover and what line of sight means. So they probably, yeah, and then calculating damage for range. So there's a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. There's elevation. Yeah, so 2nd edition now we're not on a flat plane the whole time. There's a lot of elevation rules and falling prone, speculative fire. Yeah, those templates looked really tiny though at the beginning. Really? Are those those look really small? Are those pictures of the templates? Maybe in the... Oh, that's right. They probably are. There's probably a template sheet in the box. They're just showing you. That's a weird thing to put here, though. It's like, coming soon, the templates that will look like this in the box. We'll see if they're actually there. Oh, right. Well, here we go. Yeah, throwing weapons over terrain. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so already they had to kind of account for that because I think probably people wanted to use... Because I think they only mentioned like rough terrain and then like woods or wooded terrain or forests. So zombie, what force did you have? A Imperial force or Bauhaus? What was your mega corporation of your Warzone minis? I'm curious. Yeah, so a lot more spelled out as far as each of the types of combat. Oh wow, countercharging. Yeah, I don't think there were countercharge rules in the last one. Breaking a wall. So much more elaborate terrain interaction in 2nd edition. And then of course vehicles. I don't think there was barely anything in 1st edition. Supernatural powers. Oh, so they're not going to, let's see. Yeah, so using supernatural powers. So some powers are more difficult to use than others. More powerful model obviously stand a better chance. Huh, interesting. Rule of 1 is always counted as a success and 20 is always a failure. So they're not breaking them down. I'm sure they do in the description. But for the rules, they're just calling both the art and the dark gifts are just supernatural. And then vehicle stat line structures, maneuver points. And vehicles have facing as well. Nice. Oh, Scott Headhunters. Oh, that's nice. Very cool. Oh, very cool. Yeah, zombie, I might have to get you to do voiceover for the Imperial focused video. If we do, that'll sound much more authentic than my voice. But yeah, that would be fun. Yeah, so a lot more vehicle rules now because we have vehicles. And I'm curious, so were the, I'm curious if the vehicles weren't white metal, were they? They must have been like resin. Yeah, because I don't have, I have the small kind of car, the Brotherhood's car type deal. But that's all white metal too. But some of these get pretty big. I can't imagine if they're all metal. They must weigh a ton. All right, and then flying rules. Yeah, so flying models. So they had flying units. You know, like the kind of jump pack. But yeah, now we've got speeders and stuff, right? Buildings, yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, it's much more involved than, because they're assuming you're going to be interacting with buildings and floors of buildings. So there's rules for all of that. Wow, yeah. Yeah, so a lot more complicated with, as far as where you're going to be playing. Window size, yeah, that's great. Access points. Counter size. Wow, yeah, a lot more underground battles. Indoors. Well, that's cool. So you can have much more confined spaces. And that would make facing have a lot more consequence. If you're going to run away, run down a hall, you're not going to fire as you're running. Wow. So let's see. Yeah, still we're talking about fighting indoors. And the special abilities. Yeah, it's a shame. It's black and white. I mean, it's useful for the rules. But they didn't have to put so much art if it was just going to be grayscale. Oh, I love the... Yeah, these looks like all the Alex Horley stuff from the Golgotha comic. Appendix. Waiting models. These are the only activities that can be performed by waiting models. And there we go. Here's our squad lists. Yeah, but these are not tokens. Why do they... I guess they put pages that represent... These, I guess, are scale, but these seem a little small. Yeah, we'll take a look and see. So the rules. So alternate activations, separate activations of squad members, simultaneous close combat, rules for fighting underground and inside buildings, a lot of those. And then for vehicles and flying models. Yeah, so but only 64 pages of rules. That's still, and probably a quarter of that was fighting indoors. So, wow. So that's what the rules look like and kind of what happened with second edition. We can just see, it seems like the basic rules, they're a little bit more fleshed out and it's just a lot more terrain. So let's take a look at the forces. I'm hoping, oh yeah, there we go. There's some color at the forces of war. So this is going to show off everything along with all of their crumbling terrain. This is everything now that's available. So here's the army list for all the armies in the war zone game, and each has its own identity and structure. There we go. Nice. So buying criteria, you may never have more special forces squads than you have grunt squads. You may not have more individuals than squads, and some individuals can only be purchased in conjunction with particular squads, and you may never have more than one of any particular personality in your army. So look at that compared to how short in first edition. I mean, first edition, I think we basically had half a dozen. So now they've got, named characters, so there's personalities and vehicles, as well as, squad-linked individuals, special forces, and the grunt. So light and heavy infantry. Yeah, it looks like they kept everything the same. And I didn't see anything about squad size. And it's interesting, these are not, they're good for the camera because they're not glossy pages. That's good. The first edition was pretty glossy. But these will look much better on camera. So I'm sorry, we're already into I'm going through this pretty fast. Oh, we're still in Capital. And I love all the football helmets and baseball caps. Nice. Yeah, there's a lot. A lot of more mod. Here's all our name characters: Big Bob Watts, Jack Kramer, Mitch Hunter, and there, yeah, the Purple Shark and the Great Gray. So we've got the Flyers with the football helmets. Nice. Yeah, and yeah, vehicles have facing. And then much more in the armory. There's Bauhaus. Yeah, they painted them all. They're all blue. Yeah, lots a lot more rules as far as interacting. But I guess they wanted you to build more complicated tables. Nice. Yeah, take it easy, Zombie. Yeah, and so yeah, take a look if anybody wants to watch some wonderful painting with a very nice camera setup. Take a look at Zombie Sashimi's Twitch channel and YouTube as well. He does some great painting. So yeah, if you want to. I still haven't figured out how to set up I can barely set it up to look at a book, so I can't set it up very well to actually paint on stream. But yeah, Zombie Sashimi's got a great channel if you want to watch painting, miniature painting. We're into the Venusian Rangers, special units, the Mounted Marshal. Oh, yeah, here's the video. Yeah, it looks like they are all metal. That's crazy, because some of them, the walkers and things, get really big. Here's the armory for Bauhaus. Mishima. So it looks like the criteria is all the same. Yeah, never more than one personality. They've only got one vehicle, though, that dragon bike. But look, I mean, yeah, just in the 3 years, they caught up with all the miniatures, because you've got everything that was mentioned, of course, in the first edition, plus, so much more support and elites, and then the personalities as well. The Ronin. Shadowwalkers. Oh, here's the bike, yeah. That's the only Mishima vehicle. Yeah, that's all metal, too. I think I've seen that on the Prince August website. It's all metal. And these flags, I can't imagine. Those have got to be just brutal in metal. There's the armory. Yeah, that's nice. They've got everything out. Yeah, so these are metal, but that's interesting. Yeah, these are the metal Imperial, but what's in the box that this book is in is all the plastic. So we'll take a look at the different. They're not as chunky like the plastic models. They could kind of bring the scale down a little bit. They're not so thick with the giant like head-sized fists and things. The proportions are a little bit different. Yeah, I can't tell if those, because they're slot based. Because I know they make these in white metal as well. So we'll take a look at it. There's a walker. Look at that. So that is all metal. That's insane. That's a metal miniature. Yikes. Yeah, that's pretty huge. Yeah, look at that. The Hurricane Walker. And the metal on the flags there. Get out of here. That's, if you drop that, it's all over. I can't imagine that recovering. Oh, let's take a look at the, there's the Wolf's Bane. Yeah, so Wolf's Bane. Nice. Warhounds, yeah, there's another Imperial vehicle. Yeah, they had a lot more. Mishima's just got the one. Oh, no pictures, but here's the Imperial Armory. They didn't do the guns. Maybe they had more, so they didn't have the room. Here's the Cybertronic. Nice. Yeah, so, yeah, much less. But I think that's the thing, though, with Cybertronic is they... And let's take a look at the costs. Not crazy. Well, 50, 35. Yeah, they are a bit more expensive because I think they're stronger and less of them. Oh, that's a pretty big group, though, of shock troopers. Wow. Oh, there's the... That was another... These guys were hard to find an illustration of, too. The Mirror Men. That was rough for the video. Oh, there's Dr. Diana. Vince Diamond. His head's looking a little crazy. Nice. Cyril Dent. Yeah, here's the Walker, the Eradicator Death Droid. That's the Walker for Cybertronic. Yeah, that's in there. It is right there in the picture. That illustration is great. The cover, kind of the Cybertronic cover shot with Vince in the middle. Oh yeah, and they've got the little the reconnaissance vehicle, the little guy. Yeah, and then their armory, some photos. Oh, and then that's what of course, that's what the icon is. So in the back of the box, the tribes of Earth. That's right, not Cartel. Yeah, they don't have they didn't have Cartel in 2nd edition. It's Tribes of Earth. That's right. So they go through all of the Crescentians. Oh yeah, we can just go from here. Crescentians, Lutherans, the Sons of Rasputin, and the Templars. So not as huge a list for each of them, but maybe Sons of Rasputin look like they've got the most units. But of course, because it's old Earth, they don't have the technology. They don't have vehicles, so they don't have the walkers and the flyers. It's the tribes, so more simpler tech. Yeah, but Sons of Rasputin, yeah, they've got great design. The Lutherans, yeah, they definitely got heavy weaponry. Oh, and animals too. The Purger Beast. Nice. And the Tribes of Old Earth. Yeah, they've got a lot of heavy weaponry as well. And the Brotherhood. Nice. Yeah, so Troopers, Elite, Pilgrims. A lot of individuals. And the personalities. Oh, Inquisitor Nicodemus, Crenshaw, the Mortificator, nice. And the Death Angel is their vehicle. That's the Death Angel, that car. Nice. Yeah, they got some nice designs here as well. Yeah, but of course the miniatures are not casting so many multiple pieces. So yeah, they're kind of shallow, like they're holding their arms out as opposed to like very complicated poses, because they're not casting a lot of separate pieces for you to put together. They mostly come in just a few pieces, and maybe anything that is extraneous this would have to be put on as a separate piece. But basically so things tend to be a little flatter in the kind of 90s. Oh, there it is. This is the Death Angel. This is the car I was talking to you about. Yeah, I've got one of those, the Death Angel. So that's the biggest. Yeah, that's the biggest old Warzone model I've got. And their armory and supernatural powers. Yeah, so they're calling things a little different in 2nd edition. They're not like sticking so close to the RPG. And I didn't see that. Yeah, in the rules too, they kind of backed off on the put your character from the RPG into Warzone. So there's a big money shot. So yeah, that's what they're trying to get you to build more complicated terrain and have some height and also some inside. So trenches facing are gonna matter a lot, and the bio giant that's gotta be a huge piece of metal too. Yeah, so here's the Dark Legion. Yeah, so not huge. I guess these are just the standard units, and then they're gonna break them up in between the different apostles. Yeah, looks like these are just generic. Nice. Whoa, yeah, look at that. Mercurian Malacator, Praetorian Stalkers, Golem of Darkness. Oh, this is the Praetorian Behemoth. There he is, yeah. Whoa, 165, yeah. That's not cheap. And then the cults. There we go. Okay, and then they start to do. Oh, so each of the apostles. So that this adds more units depending on which apostle you're playing. Yeah, so that's all Algaroth. There's the Biogiant. That is a big piece of metal. Denalganus. Ilion. Yeah, still they're putting some art in. Yeah, for stuff that they don't yeah, they don't have just a generic. Yeah, interesting. They're just maybe filling the space if there's not a lot of models. Movie J. Yeah, not a lot. Yeah, because yeah, right there, you're not seeing a lot. Alright, Semi. And then the Armory. So that is the list building. Oh, big Armory for Dark Legion, I guess, because they've got, yeah, got a huge range. And they might limit it to who can use it. And then here's the Dark Gifts. Oh, and they're broken down, yeah, between the Apostles as well. Yeah, so they changed the name, so everything is a supernatural power now. Good or evil. Yeah, look at, I can't imagine if that's a big piece of metal. That's got to weigh a ton. That's got to be resin. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if they were messing with resin back then. Yeah, but a lot more. Yeah, look at all the elevation and everything. So they're really trying to force the game to go much more vertical. So second edition, there is no respite for the armies that do battle in the war zones of the solar system. They are locked in a violent embrace of the second corporate wars, and now the demonic forces of the Dark Legion threaten to engulf them all. Only the spiritual guidance of the Brotherhood offers humanity any hope of resisting the dark forces. So 96 pages, so dynamic forces of Capital, the military machine of Bauhaus, the Bushido warriors of Mishima, the indomitable spirit of Imperial, the enhanced army of Cybertronic, the fierce tribes of Old Earth. Yeah, that's what that logo is. And the Brotherhood's soldiers of faith and the unholy Dark Legion. So printed in full color, packed with illustrations and photographs of Warzone 2nd Edition. The armies have their own structures and identity to give players a widest possible choice when choosing their armies. All that remains is for you to choose your army and lead it to victory on the battlefields of Warzone. So Target Games 98. And last, but yeah, kind of page count least, is of course the background again. Oh, nice, but it's color. Yes. Oh, great. So this is going to be a lot of art, and here's the solar system as it stands. Nice. Yeah, Mutantpedia has a pretty good archive of old scans, like PDF scans of these old books, because these are getting harder and harder to get a hold of. So yeah, here's kind of the whole timeline with nice detail. Yeah, I think I liked the tone of how this was written. So a lot of the inspiration for the writing for the complete Mutant Chronicles comes from the 2nd edition Warzone book. I remember really liking the tone of everything here. So that's the basic kind of first Chronicle timeline, and then they go into the individual, just like in the previous edition, the corporate structure history of each of the mega corporations to kind of give you a flavor. But a lot of art. It's nice. There's a lot of color art. Oh, look at that. Yeah. That's great. Oh, and then they give you all the elite forces. Yeah, so basically everything. This is everything that I've seen in the and not full size, but yeah, details of everything I've seen in the RPG books. All the covers. Nice. Imperial, Cybertronic. Nice. I screwed that up. I should have. It's a Mark III. That illustration. I couldn't find a good verification of that. But that's the Mark III, not the Mark II. All right, and then the Brotherhood. Yeah. So basically, the structure of each of them, and oh, of course, the Dark Legion. And yeah, there's no good images of Algaroth. It's just all Nephirites, etc. Yeah, I like the Alex Horley stuff, especially for the Dark Legion. He does a brutal job too. Yeah, but yeah, both. Having both of those artists, really makes this much more noticeable. So there's the Chronicle. So just the background of everything. So 48 pages, the complete picture of the Warzone universe, never-ending conflict. So read on. The war is just beginning. Okay, so these were the 3 books that were published for this set. So these are the 3 books that came in this set. But then also with this second edition, they did specific army books for most of the major mega corporations. So this is Capital and Bauhaus, and I guess they're also giving you the war zones basically. So this is fleshing out the battles. So they're going through the army lists again. But then and additional rules. Yeah, there's some new rules. But then they also talk about things like the different campaigns, like kind of historically Sarasota and some of the major conflicts. So they kind of try to flesh out a little bit more of the military history as far as like battles, where they took place, and what the progress of certain battles was. So both of these books that came out with second edition do that same thing, where they give you the different operations and different campaigns to give you to play more a kind of a lore based or a story themed campaign that is accurate to Mutant Chronicles history. All right, so let's take a quick look inside since we've seen all of those books. So here is what it looks like. Can you believe this? Every single unit is on its own sprue. So you've got your slotted base, and then a multi-plastic. So what is this? 5 parts? Yeah, 5-part multi-plastic sprues. So, and maybe at one point they might have been together a little bit, but now everything is separate. So every single individual soldier is separate. So here's the 2d20 they give you, and here, let me scoot some of these aside, see if I can get the here we go. So that was so weird that they put this art on the inside cover, because this is the scale of what you would need for an actual template. And then here's a ruler. So this is actually everything you need, because here's a ruler inside the box. Oh wow, look at that. That's some dark gift, some powers of the dark symmetry. Oh nice, they're all reversible, so you can have two kinds of things, and then more. Oh, here's keys and doors and walls, and then more tokens. Wow. So a lot of tokens and templates. So this is back still in the day where templates and you're measuring flamethrowers and seeing based on your facing who's getting caught in the blast. So that is second edition. So where do we go from here? Well, so I think it was close to the time that this was released, so the late 90s, when Target Games got into some financial trouble, and so we had Excelsior take over. So both of Target's big properties, I'll move this out of the way. So both, this is a real glossy cover. So both of Target Games' big properties, Chronopia and Mutant Chronicles, were taken over by Excelsior Entertainment. Let's take a look at the back here. So another, Pennsylvania-based company similar to Heartbreaker. And this is their collection. And we'll see what they updated. This is their collection of the Mutant Chronicles Warzone Universe Under Siege Ultimate Edition. So as you can see, this is the size of basically every book we've looked at already combined. It is the nature of life to create, to push back the boundaries of its world. It is the nature of man to destroy what he has created and defend unto death the boundaries of what he calls his own. It is the fire that fuels our supremacy. It is our nemesis. For in the dark recesses of our minds, in the cold vacuum between the stars, there lurks an unspeakable presence that looks upon the darkness of our hearts with slavering anticipation. It is the dark soul. And with every life we take, every drop of blood we shed, every treacherous deed, every famine, every war, every psychotic act, we bind ourselves more closely to the dark purpose. The dark soul delights in our weakness. Despite our best efforts to resist, the dark soul is laughing. It is laughing at us all. Wow. Some pretty intense text on the back. The universe is burning. The inhabited worlds are being torn apart by the fury of the second corporate wars, turning the entire solar system into one huge war zone. From the sun-baked planets of Mercury to the ice fields of Ganymede, the 5 megacorporations battle. Bauhaus, Capital, Imperial, Cybertronic, and Mishima. 5 great powers contesting the territory and resources of the world, battered and scarred by war. Now, even the armies of the armies of humankind struggle for the supremacy. The Dark Legion has returned. 1,000 years have passed since they made their last attempt to claim the soul of humanity. Now the legions of the Dark Soul are marching once more, and the battlefields of man remain witness to the terrible nightmares and violence beyond imagining. So here we go. So Warzone Universe Under Siege is a comprehensive, dynamic 28mm skirmish battle system. So still talking skirmish because of the number of miniatures. Set in the retro world of science fiction, the game is designed for 2 players or more. Universe Under Siege pits the 5 corporations, the Cartel, the Brotherhood, or the menacing Dark Legion against each other over all the most action-filled and spectacular setting you've ever seen. So inside this book is a complete game, which you will find a complete history of the Mutant Chronicles setting by some of the best writers in the industry, a dynamic and fluid system that, while easy to learn, provides ever-evolving levels of strategy, over 15 complete armies, wow, with vehicles and artillery, expanded art, dark symmetry, and key powers. So I guess that's Mishima. And then the intuitive mechanics allow players to field any size army. Fantastic artwork by the top industry visionaries. Yeah, so what are we looking at for a year? Yeah, there's no copyright year, but this must have picked up right after the demise of Target Games. So this is a big, as you can see, big but black and white book. Oh, there's a little color in there. A few color pages in the middle. Nice. Show off some of those miniatures. So let's see here. Oh, this is 2003. So yeah. Excelsior Entertainment proudly presents Warzone Universe Under Siege. All right. Yeah, so they're still crediting Bill King for the rules development. So that's good. Wow. So Tom Talamini. And talking about, everything about, oh, wow. There's a there's some Doom Trooper reference. You may know us from... Wow. Oh, wow. Yeah, so there's a lot of... this is my most recent purchase. This is the thing that I acquired just recently and wanted to show off. I haven't got a chance to go through this book. Oh, this looks familiar, though. Yeah, this looks similar. So they're not mentioning the tribes of Old Earth. So, yeah, we'll see. Because they don't mention them in the army list. But maybe they are. Maybe, those miniatures existed, so... And I think that's what they did, is they just continued what was already established. So here's all of the background. Here's the overview of play. Yeah, you can already tell just with font choices and stuff. We're already into like digital desktop publishing, where yeah, things are a lot more thematically designed. Yeah, that's very digital. Model profiles. Yeah, so they seem like they kept the same stat lines. Yeah, close combat, ranged. What do they call it? Missile combat before? Power, leadership, and size and point cost. And then, yeah, talking about model profiles. they keep referring to the Doom Trooper cards, so I think that's what a lot of people, you know, they know this universe by that. Oh, that's, yeah, I haven't seen that before. Some other art. Yeah, so move, climb, aim. No brace anymore. But it looks like the same. Yeah, you're still getting 3 actions, and you're still nominating squads, and then those units in the squad. Concentrate. Your aim. Yeah, they don't have the brace move for the heavy weapons. Yeah. But still having altitude and continuing the flyer models, close combat. So still charging and concealment. Wow. This is a big book. It's really, really heavy. Yeah. Yeah, and they still, yeah, this is what they recognize this diagram, throwing the grenade. Forward missions, spotting. Wow, there's a lot more detail about the judgment of the Cardinal's first. Wow, so a little bit of flavor of the different Dark Apostles weapons and tactics. They still have morale. Oh yeah, and still doing some like little selected fiction to give you more flavor. Wow, yeah, a lot more rules heavy though. Yeah, because the illustrations are much more minimal, so there's a lot more. Oh yeah, wow, guerrilla training. So these are all extra. The skills, visions. Wow, this reads a lot more like an RPG. Some of the special skills, or maybe the traits that different models have. So just going through and defining all of that. Channel, yeah, here's all the summoning powers, controlling summoning units. Wow, so a lot more complicated as far as the what they were calling with supernatural gifts. So the dark gifts and the art, and then vehicle rules. Yeah, it looks like a lot. They've reworked a lot of things, and yeah, specifying sandbags and barbed wire, trenches. Yeah, so a lot more fleshed out. Jungle terrain, yeah, really, really going into the terrain. Wow. Pharaoh lampreys, yeah, different. Yeah, there's the same diagram though. So still, yeah, looking like 4x6 unit cards. Oh, so maybe in the miniatures they included unit cards. So each card has a unique image on the front and distinguishes it of the type of army being fielded. And once the vital stats are recorded on the back, you will always be able to use these. Oh, nice. So you can do double blind deployment for your unit reference. Oh, wow. Yeah, so unit cards, that was a newer thing. Wow, yeah, look at all of the... So blind deployment, you can just put cards down that basically say your faction, but not what units you're placing. Wow, yeah, that's very different. Oh, so maybe, yeah. Yeah, no, they're just kind of using the look of the Doom Trooper cards. All the equipment stats, melee. More ranged weapons. Wow, this is crazy. Look at how many. Because I guess it's every single faction. Yeah, so it's all. The armory is just huge. Look at all this. All the equipment. Nerve gas shells. Wow, okay, here's Mega Corporation Capital. Oh yeah, so they're going to go through the history again. Yeah, and a lot of the classic illustrations from the RPG are still here. Wow. Yeah, so they're going to go, and here we go. Yeah, here's the army list. Yeah, because they're kind of combining, so everything we looked at separately, is all in one book now. So we're looking at background and rules and stats, army lists, all in one book. So all of Capital. Wow. Let's see. Yeah, that's too bad. I mean, they've got the miniatures and try to give you a little bit of a example of what they look like, but because it's black and white. Yeah, so I'm curious if there was a previous to the Ultimate Edition, because I know in Chronopia they did as well. They did a kind of a big tome like this that collected everything together. I wonder if they had any color books or anything previous to this, or if this was the book that they produced. But yeah, they're reproducing a lot of the same diagrams and things, so a lot of stuff still applies. All the different facings and things still apply. And a letter from the Roach Company. And Bauhaus. Oh, nice. There's some art I haven't seen. A lot of the... oh, each house. Oh, that's nice, yeah. Each of the Bauhaus Elector houses. And their cog with their symbols in them. Yeah, and their relations to all of the other factions. Climatic zones of Venus. Misters of War, yeah. So here's the major houses. And then the units. All of our sets. Valerie Duval. Nice. Yeah, so yeah, it's too bad. I mean, you can. It's decent representation. Like you can identify the models then, but yeah, you lose a lot when they're black and white. But oh yeah, so they go through each of the houses and talk about more house specific models. Imperial. Wow. Yeah, I hadn't seen through this. Yeah, this is looking kind of Rob Liefeld looking art. There's some more recent to this time comic book art in here. Yeah, I love all the painted illustrations. So the clans and military of Imperial. Oh, nice. Yeah, I love when they have insignias and the kind of representations of each of the insignias and iconography of the different. Here's the different clans. Yeah, that's great to see that. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff I was definitely in need of for video when I'm talking specifically about certain clans. To have their emblem or their mark would make visually a lot nicer presentation. Here's all the Imperial models. Yeah, by this time though, by the time 2nd edition, they really did have a lot of models for every faction, including the tribes of Old Earth. So we'll have to see if they made it into this book. They didn't mention it, but I wonder if Excelsior got the molds. The molds to cast more, because they did repackage. I've seen blister packs that have the card in them and that are labeled Excelsior. Yeah, that's nice. The McGuire. Mark Wolfpack. Yeah, there's a lot of nice extra art in here. Mishima. Wow. God, I wonder how much this book was. I mean, I guess that's probably why it has to be black and white. I can't imagine this book in color, you know, in early 2000s would probably be an $80 book. Even in softcover, that's a lot. It's a lot of pages. Whoa, background for the units, the Demon Hunter. Wow, look at that. Shadowwalker Cult. Yeah, so there's a lot more. I definitely want to, read through. Oh, here we go. So they're referencing the tribes of the Dark Eden. So the blackened orb known as Dark Eden has become the source of renewed interest for Mishima. Because they're on Mercury, of course, they're the closest, or they're pretty close, not the closest. The interest began almost 6 years ago when the Overlord Mishima began sending clandestine probes to Dark Eden. Huh. The exact nature of these activities has been kept closely guarded secret. Yeah, so they do make reference to the tribes. But yeah, maybe they're not a playable army though. And they're just doing it in reference to Mishima. Yeah, we'll have to go. You have to go through. I'm curious about how they extended some of the lore and what Modifius picked up on and what they didn't. Because they've got some. There's some other stuff going on here. Yeah, so only in Mishima do they reference the tribes. Yeah, so that's a big thing. I noticed the comments on the lore series. Any reference of White Star, like no, not white, no White Star. We just want the tribes of Old Earth, because I think they had a lot of flavor, and that was the last Doom Trooper card, I think, series that they produced, so people know them a lot more. Oh, this is a lot more Mishima than I expected. They kind of got, especially in first edition, they kind of got glossed over. Oh, that's right, and they've got the key elements. Cybertronic. Corporate history. Nice. Yeah, Cybertronic was really fun to research and add in there. I mean, we had everything kind of established from the original 4, and then to add that new, the sudden appearance of that mega corporation was fun. Nice. Here's the color section. So some classic. Oh, here. Oh, painting guide. Nice. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, they show you cleaning up the, removing the flash, super gluing everything together, and then painting. Start with your flats and getting more highlights and washes. Nice. Well, that's cool. Oh, yeah, and painting insignias on capes. And then, yeah, look at the photographs of all that. This thing's got really, really elaborate as far as I think we saw some close-ups of these tables. But, yeah, looks like a lot of carved foam stone. Oh, yeah, here we go. So this gives you a good idea of all of the miniatures. Yeah, they sure have a lot of the artwork. So it's good that they put that in there. And all the units for Cybertronic. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I like the I really do like the retro icons. I used all of the newer icons, like the most recent, like 3rd edition iconography for the mega corporations. But I love that old C, and then I love the eagle on the shield of Capital. Vince. Oh, nice. And they go through the enhancements. Oh yeah, you can pay for different enhancements to give special abilities to different models. Here's their armory. And then the Brotherhood. Oh, nice. Cathedrals and their chronicles. Ah, so the first chronicle is all Luna, second is Heimberg, third is the Longshore Cathedral. The Shame of the Corporate. Oh, this would be really fun to try to recreate as much of this as possible, because they've got little excerpts from in the RPGs of a lot of this, but it'd be fun to try to recreate as much of the Chronicles as possible. Inquisition. Yeah, wow, they really go. I mean, this is as much depth for the miniatures game as as the RPG has. So there's a lot of, especially in the core book, because they don't go crazy in depth with each one, but there's a lot of background for each of the mega corporations. That's really cool. Nice. Yeah, and they're also limited to, I don't know if they did anything beyond what was already produced, the Heartbreaker miniatures. Like if they had Heartbreaker continue to produce anything. I don't know. Wow, yeah, they're breaking everything down by the directorates. It's Sebastian Crenshaw. Oh yeah, so here's all the arts. Dominance, exorcism, mentalism. Wow, we're already almost 400 pages. Wow. We got through 400 pages of this. This is crazy. This is a hardcore flip through. Nice. Yeah, I like those. I like those electro symbols of all the houses. That was very cool. Oh yeah, so talking through. Oh, so Cartel. Yeah, Cartel, Doom Trooper. So I think that little blurb in Mishima is the only reference we're going to get to the tribes of Old Earth. The Dark Eden. Yeah, so there is a, for a third edition RPG, there is a campaign, a Dark Eden campaign, and I'll have to take a look at quite how it fits because, White Star is such a dominant presence on Old Earth. I don't know how the tribes, stay in conflict at all. Infernal Legions of the Dark Soul. So here's all the background for the Dark Legion. Yes, all the Nephrites. Yeah, there's not a great picture of Algaroth in any of this. Very minor. He's not very well represented in the artwork. That's too bad. Alright, the Dark Storm. The Mutant King of Luna. Catacombs run deep beneath the surface of Luna City and are the home to the countless mutants who are driven from the world by their deformities. The sad reality is that nearly all of those mutants were once good people who, other than their physical distortions, were in every way capable of serving the light, forced underground by the Brotherhood. These disenfranchised should have found a community and relief in the shadows, the very organizations which sought their deaths. Thus, it is the Brotherhood who should be thanks for providing the apostles with a growing legion of willing followers who seek the vengeance of their pain and torment. Led by the mutant king himself, the followers of Semi, these masses are boiling with a gnawing rage that the Lord of Spite will soon unleash upon Luna City. While the masses grow, the Lord of Disease also works his powers on the teeming masses with the full cooperation of Semi. Wow. Yeah, so that's great. So the Dark Eden, here's another reference to the Dark Eden. Dark Soul does not win victories by physical means alone. Its most important successes on Dark Eden have so far been unnoticed by the masses. Even the Brotherhood's ever-vigilant watchmen have no concept of just how deeply they have managed to infiltrate the new tribes. The Dark Soul has an agenda in most of the Eurasian tribes. Its present events continue. The entire Perusian court will be under the Dark One's control within one generation. When the death cry is heard, the Dark Soul summons their forces. The new Dark Legions will be filled with heretics from all the tribes as they turn on their kin and attempt to claim the world for their true lord. Wow. That's great. There's some good stuff. Yeah, there's some good later developments. Yeah, so Warzone is set like during the Second Dark Legion war time, and when everything has already been established, and it's like kind of the second incursion of the Dark Legion, and there's still more. Yeah, I got to go through a lot of this. There's some good stuff. Some good developments under the city. So here's, the Dark Cults miniatures. Staller in his carcass armor. Nice. Yeah, I wonder if they did produce any new miniatures. We keep getting this Algaroth coin-looking emblem. And just Nephirites. There's Demogonus. Yeah, so they break down Ilion, all of the VJ. Oh, and they've got the icons for the those were I had to hunt those down as well for part 5. Slaughtermaster. Eternal Liars. Whoa, yeah. Like the Dark Legion armory. It's much more insane. Oh, and then specific powers to the Dark Apostles. Yeah, not a lot. I guess, yeah. About half a dozen for each. And then, oh, here we go. Pronunciation. Let's see how badly I've mispronounced things. So this is a collection of some of the, so what they're going to call. So, Muaje. So, not Muavije. So, I guess you're not pronouncing the W there. So, they're saying Muaje for the Dark Apostle. What else have I probably screwed up here? Nothing. Chasseur. Yeah, they're doing a bit more French. Chasseur. Pronunciation Demnogonus. 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 Yeah, Demnogonus. They're not showing you where the accented syllable is. Let's see, anything else? The one I was most worried about was the Muavije. Muaji is what they're saying. And semi. Semi. That's what I went with. But yeah, nothing else that's too insane. Yeah. Cool. Well, that's good. They that they did that, because that was there's nothing online that I could find. Some people mentioned it in forums, and then a lot of people, like, based on what the historical reference of the names. That's where I got the Muavije, the historical, what that's referencing, like a Babylonian god or something that's referencing. Some linguist chimed in. So here we go. Tribes of Dark Eden of Old Earth are in here. They're not. Let's see. They do show. Okay, so they are. Yeah, they are a faction in here. The very last chapter. Saga of Dark Eden. Life is difficult. A difficult thing to destroy completely. Its persistence, though fragile, is nigh eternal. It adapts, changes, evolves. It clings to its existence jealously, even on Earth, where the chemicals unleashed by the centuries of pollution and war have poisoned the soil and strangled the very Earth itself. New life struggles to gain purchase. Yeah, so they changed this a lot by having a major faction, but I think they wanted Earth and an Earth faction, meaning White Star in the 3rd edition, to be on the same level. Like these tribes are so much weaker than the mega corporations. It doesn't seem like there can be much meaningful interaction. So to create an old Earth faction that can, be closer to rival a mega corporation. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I haven't to go through the whole history of White Star and see how I feel after that. But yeah, I'm getting a lot of negative comments on these guys. The Last Days of Earth from the Ashes. Yeah, I want to go through this and see how they kind of updated things, because this is 2003. So yeah, this is Courts of Rasputin, the Crescentia. Yeah, so this talks a lot about the structures, the Templars, the Templar Protectorate, the tribes of Eurasia. Yeah. So here's everybody that we saw, all the units. Yeah, so they did continue them. Yeah, they didn't mention them on the outside, and there's reference to them in each of the previous editions, and of course then the RPG as well. Nice. Yeah, I'll go through that and take and see what they did with the history. I'm curious how that's gonna fit in. Nice. Oh, and they have prophecies and rituals, so they do have abilities. The tribes have supernatural abilities as well. Cool. And then their armory. Oops. And there's our last pages are some more templates. Yeah, this looks pretty similar. Mines, stigmata. Oh, some tiny templates. Yeah, so similar to what came in the there we go. There's a big one. Oh, but you're going to cut your cover. But there's a big flamer template. Yeah, so that is the Ultimate Edition. So, of course, Protoss followed this in they were the 20-teens, right, with Warzone Resurrection. And so they kind of updated the look. The lore was pretty good. I think I read their lore section because that game was also discontinued. They offer PDFs of Warzone Resurrection for free on their website. So I read their lore, and it didn't really advance anything. It just kind of stuck with what we had seen so far. But the writing was surprisingly good. I liked what Protoss had in their book. But this is a book I'm going to have to get through. Just the lore parts, not all the other rules as of yet. But yeah, and take a look, especially for Dark Eden, like where they went from here, because I know there's Dark Eden continuing in 3rd edition RPG. But that is it. We did it. We made it through 3 editions of Warzone. A 1st edition book, a box set with 5 books, although we kind of shorted the campaigns because I think we'd seen a lot of it, and there's a lot of comics in here. But yeah, these are for the Venus and Mars campaigns. Maybe we'll go through those at another time because that'll be fun. Want to do more military history. So this is all of the Warzone. All of the original rule set Warzone, because I think Protoss, I'm not sure if they stuck with the D20, but they did make some pretty big rules and unit changes. So this is the original D20 Warzone, every way that existed. So from 90, why do I keep forgetting this? For 95. So 95 to 2003, the existence of Warzone. It's different each time. Nice. Yeah, I like that about the pronunciation. That was what somebody said too, is that, the pronunciation of his name is to invoke madness. Yeah, White Star, yeah. Yeah, we'll have to see how things go with the Dark Eden and how they're going to work White Star in. I mean, I think having a Russian faction is pretty cool. I mean, well, that's what, like, Rasputin, I mean, that was all their Eurasian tribes, I think, were basically, flavors of Russian and Asian, but we'll have to see what all of it looks like. So yeah, I want to look through what they did with the lore here, because I think that's probably the jumping off point that Modifius took. But this was really fun to go through all of this, and especially to take a look at the rule set and how it went from pretty simple to, okay, now you've got some verticality in your terrain, and you're shooting each other inside rooms, to much more complicated as far as like all of the vehicles and everything. Like they really built in a lot more complexity to yeah, all modifiers and things for what you're doing with vehicles and stuff. So definitely but still the scale. I don't think the scale of the game really got that much bigger because they're even calling it a skirmish game. But even by this edition, they're still calling it a skirmish game. So yeah, and we're looking at maybe if they're saying 1,000 points, that's like 5 units. You know, it's not huge. It's not a huge amount of models, but yeah, and I'm really curious to see what the Protos book looks like. Yeah, I've got to get my hands on the physical books to take a look at the rule set and things and compare, and then what they're going to do, what the new version, whatever it's going to be called, and what the new version of Warzone is going to do with the rules. Because I think the rule designer that's he's on YouTube kind of talking about how things are going, or as much as he can talk about. He was involved with some of the things that were kind of that kind of continued, you know, what Warzone was doing with in wargaming. So hopefully it'll be a nice continuation of this and still have the same kind of the flavor and the scale too. So we will see. So thank you so much for joining me. And yeah, definitely. Yeah, there isn't. I don't think White Star is going to make it out of the RPG. I have a feeling. I don't think they're going to make it into the new Warzone. But they're doing all original models. They're doing all new sculpts for models, which is funny because this will be like the third time in recent memory. Protos, the Siege of the Citadel models and things that have been done. You know, they've done these characters and things a few times, so I'm curious to see how that looks. But yeah, thanks so much for joining me, and I hope this was fun to go through. Flip throughs are fun because it's just you know, seeing so much of the art and actually having the physical book. I guess you could do a flip through with a PDF as well. There'd be less glare on a PDF. But yeah, so take a look at the 6-part, the 6th installment of the Complete Mutant Chronicles is out this Friday. And if you want to see it right now, like Nathaniel Wolf already has already join our Patreon. So Patreon subscribers or patrons have access right now to that first part. So you get it like half a week early, several days early before it actually premieres. If you want to see that, and if you want to catch up, there's a playlist of the first 5 parts, which is an hour long already. Yeah, so I think by the time we finish this, just the first chronicle, which is going to take us through the second Dark Legion War, it's going to be about 100 minutes of lore video. So yeah, and I hope that's fun and gets you excited about the setting, because this is really fun. I mean, it's a really, I think the dieselpunk and the what they did with this setting, and kind of just like with the game, it's staying restricted to a skirmish level game. The setting itself is limited to the solar system, and technically like only half the solar system, the inner worlds. So they do a nice job of kind of limiting the scale so it doesn't get so huge and out of control like certain other dystopian sci-fi war games have gotten. But yeah, it's really fun, and it's good to go through this. I love looking at the art, and it's very interesting to see the all the different rule sets. And I can't believe they put this all in one book. Yeah, but it's, let's see, what am I looking at here? It's similar to, oh yeah, here. So the counterpart to this is this book. So this is also Excelsior, and they did the same thing for Chronopia, where they collected everything in one big book. So I think when they took things over, there was probably so much material already existing, and anything that they wanted to improve. So they did these really giant compilations of everything. So yeah, so everything all in one place, and possibly Chronopia might be another lore series, because there's a lot of really good stuff in there if you like fantasy. So that will be all for this flip through. So thanks so much for joining me, and yeah, take a look at our Complete Mutant Chronicles series on YouTube, and keep an eye out on Twitch. Subscribe to Twitch if you want to keep up on our live streaming. We do occasionally some stuff at lunchtime, and hopefully when we can physically meet again, we'll be doing some RPG and a little more actual plays on that channel. Right now, it's much less is going on. It's more just unboxings and some. I think I played the Doom Trooper digital card game on there and some other things like that. So that was look at this. This is Warzone. So this has been the first 3 editions of Warzone. So we'll be back again with more, and so enjoy the part 6, and I will see you on that premiere this Friday. So that's all for tonight, and so please consider becoming a patron. So patreon.com/idleredhands, and follow us on Twitter at idleredhands, and then both the Twitch and YouTube are idleredhands for all of our Mutant Chronicles content. And then of course the website has everything all in one place, including our weekly podcast, unboxings, and reviews of a lot of different rule sets and things. So thanks again, and I will be back next time. Goodbye.